Good evening, friends. Night 12, the Elul Screen Challenge, reading from the book Inner Work of Adat Hashem. Page 19. The prayer being answered means receiving from God a new nature that is able to completely transcend the ego and the desire to receive. The prayer being answered means receiving from God a new nature that is able to completely transcend the ego and the desire to receive. So the prayer, when it's answered, when a prayer like this concept we've been talking about in the last couple excerpts, the deeper the prayer, the deeper the answer to the prayer. So this phrase, the prayer being answered, when our prayer is answered, it means that we are receiving a new nature from God. And when we talk about a new nature, it means a nature different from the nature we were given, which is the nature to receive for receiving's sake. And it means to get a new nature means a nature to give. So the prayer being answered means receiving a nature to give, a new nature to give from God. And this nature to give, this new nature, a nature to give, means that we are able to completely transcend the ego and the desire to receive. So really that's I think the Rebbe is saying that that's the pinnacle form of the answer, of the prayer being answered. Receiving a new nature and transcending the ego and desire to receive. The Zohar says, quote, "Everything is purified in the mind," end quote. This means that our ability to act and speak properly depends on our thoughts being focused on God. The Zohar says, quote, "Everything is purified in the mind." Everything is purified in the mind. This means that our ability to act and speak properly depends on our thoughts being focused on God. So our goal is to act and speak properly, and that depends upon our thoughts being focused on God. So as we've been discussing in the previous nights, that our work is to focus our thoughts on God, to create new pathways in the brain, new thought patterns, and the old thought patterns are our old nature, which is the nature to receive, and we're trying to create a new nature, new pathways, which is the nature to give, and that comes through our focusing our thoughts on God, which then purifies the mind and purifies everything inside the mind. Everything is purified in the mind, through our thoughts being focused on God. So the more we focus our thoughts on God, the more we purify everything inside of our being, everything about ourselves, everything that's attached to us and our identities, the expressions of who we are in the world, and that then also directly impacts our ability to act and speak properly, right? So it's a recipe, a couple stage process. Focus our thoughts on God. Things are purified. Our being, the aspect of ourself is purified through our mind, through focusing on God, which then allows us the ability to act and speak properly. Next thought. Thought is the servant of desire. Thought is the servant of desire. Thought is the servant of desire, right? So if we have a desire, then thought becomes a servant of that desire. It goes after, it attaches to that desire. If I have a desire for ice cream, then my thoughts go to how can I fulfill that desire to get ice cream? Where's the ice cream? Is it in the fridge? Is it in the freezer? So I've got to go to the freezer. Can I go to the freezer right now, right? The thoughts guide us to become a servant to fulfill that desire. Page 20. The desire to come close to God, even when this desire is rooted in ego, is a lofty state that is not generally found. The more elevated state of desiring closeness to God is revealed to us in stages. The desire to come close to God, which is the purpose of our work, what we're working towards, we're desiring to come close to God, we're setting ourselves the goal and the aim to desire to come close to God. And even when this desire is rooted in the ego, right? It's rooted in the I want to come close to God. The ego, the identity is leading the charge. Even so, this is a lofty state that is generally not found, right? Because generally we don't have a lot of people in our culture, and our planet that are saying, I want to be close to God. Even that is not generally found. So in a way we're saying that there's already something to deeply appreciate when we have the thought from the ego that I want to come close to God. And then he continues to say, the more elevated state of desiring closeness to God is revealed to us in stages. So there are more elevated states of desiring closeness to God, right? There's a base level that comes from the ego. And then from there are more elevated states. And those elevated states of desiring closeness to God are revealed to us in stages. The more one believes that all the darkness in life is divinely orchestrated for the purpose of goodness, the more one comes close to the light, right? So this is a statement on faith, on emunah. The greater the emunah, that all the darkness in life is divinely orchestrated. Not only is it divinely orchestrated, but it's divinely orchestrated for the purpose of goodness. So all the darkness we see in our lives, that we see in the world, the more that we believe in our hearts, not just blind faith, but a true, deep, genuine faith. The more we have a genuine faith that all this darkness is divinely orchestrated for the good, for the purpose of goodness, the more we then come close to the light, right? That, again, that's similar to a previous thought we were working on, which is, I can't remember exactly in this moment, I'm tired, but it goes hand in hand, right? The more we have the emunah, it retroactively equals the more amount of light we are close to, or the closer we are to God, right? The more we're able to have emunah, that all the darkness, all the evil that we feel and see in the world is actually divinely orchestrated for the purpose of goodness. It's bringing about the purpose of creation. It's manifesting God's will in the world. The more we truly can believe that, and not in blind faith, but an alive and authentic faith, which we call emunah, the more one comes close to the light, comes close to God, is united with the divine. According to Judaism, last excerpt. According to Judaism, our spiritual level is measured by how much we are aware of our selfishness and how humble we are. According to Judaism, our spiritual level is measured by how much we are aware of our selfishness and how humble we are. Pretty straightforward. Our spiritual level is measured by how much we are aware of our selfishness, how much we are aware of our desire to receive, and how humble we are, how much we nullify the ego and the desires of the ego, the longings of the ego for fulfilling its needs, its desires, for getting praise and attention and accolades. The more we humble ourselves as not special, but as simply extensions of the divine, that this is creation, this body that I inhabit, this consciousness inhabits this body, and this body is creation that is aware of itself as creation and is an extension of God, because all creation, all form in this world, all matter in this world is an extension of God, and this happens to be conscious matter. And the more that I can live inside of that identity, the more humble I am, the more humble I walk and move through the world. And the higher the spiritual level that I have attained is. Okay, have a great night. Have a wonderful day tomorrow, and we'll see you again tomorrow night.